Mostly because he's got to sign the doors.
Okay, the time is now 5 p.m. and I'm going to call this administrative meeting of the City Council of Ozark to order. Please make sure that you have silenced your cell phones and that you have signed in the back. Our first order of business this evening is to go over the agenda for the next 5:30 p.m. meeting. So after a call to order and the prayer and pledge of allegiance, we will review the minutes from the regular council meeting that was held on February 18th, 2025. Council members, do you have any questions or comments on those minutes? Wonderful. Item number 5 is to select the voting delegates and the alternates for the annual meeting of the Alabama League of Municipalities. The ALM convention will take place mid-May. Are all of the council members attending this year? Okay. So does anyone, traditionally, the president will vote? I know last year I had a conflict with graduation. We don't have that conflict this year. So would we just like to continue with tradition, or would we like to? Okay. Traditionally, our pro tem is alternate. Councilman Jackson, will you take that up for us?
You'll be the primary.
Correct, I would be primary, and then there has to be a second alternate as well. So do we have any volunteers that would like to be second alternate?
Yes, would be good.
All right. I don't think it's ever actually come down to second alternate, but we don't ever want to take that chance.
Don't worry about it.
All right, so that's fine. It'll be primary delegate, alternate, second alternate. Yeah, you get the little alternate. Yeah, you get the little delegate ribbon on your badge for the weekend. Okay. Item number 6 is to award the bid for Eagle Stadium hitting facility improvement. I'm going to call up Ozzy to speak on that for us.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello.
We only received one bid for this project, and we awarded to it. It was Nick Davis, who came in at around $75,000. We believe he's a good builder, so we think the project is in safe hands.
Thank you. Council members, do you have any questions or comments for Ozzy on awarding this bid?
No. Can't wait to see the finished product.
Y'all just remember that y'all, the school system's reimbursing.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments?
You're familiar with their work, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, they have worked with us for many other projects, so yes, we can vouch for their quality of work.
So, is the school okay with just us receiving one bid? Okay.
It was a sealed bid, so at the time, the only thing that we received was one, so we should be fine.
Okay.
We've done our due diligence.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ozzy.
Thanks.
Item number 7 is a first reading application for retail beer and retail table wine off premises only. So I'm going to invite Director Ward to speak on that for us.
Good evening. This is a new business. They're at 231 Jernigan Road, and hadn't been a business there before selling alcohol and things. So this, I recommend that this be approved for first reading. We have no objection to that.
Okay. Council members, do you have any questions for Director Ward on accepting it as a first reading application?
No.
Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Oh yeah, I'm going to just leave you right there. Thanks. Item number 8 is to set a public hearing for an ordinance permitting and regulating low-speed vehicles, also known as golf carts.
Yes, okay, this is the one that y'all approved for the legislature to move forward with, putting it on the referendum on last election. Of course, it passed. So this is the part where y'all won't vote to go ahead and put this in effect, and it will not go in effect till 5 days after y'all approve it. And we got the stickers in, that's why we held off doing it tonight, because we had to wait for the stickers to come in, but we got those in, we're ready to move forward if y'all approve it.
Okay,
Now,
so
this
do we
is
have
not
to
a
do
public, this is, the way this minute says it's to,
To set the public hearing.
Oh, so this is a public hearing, I'm sorry.
To set the
I'm
public-
one meeting ahead, okay, I'm sorry. But this is a public hearing, thank you, Mr. Jones.
So just for my clarification, the timeline would have to be public hearing and then vote at the
Next.
following meeting, or the actual following meeting a couple of weeks later?
No,
Or
you-
would we do it just the same way we do like
yeah.
all of our other public hearings where we
It's
vote on it?
introduced tonight and voted on at the next
Okay.
meeting. And,
So the mid-March meeting, public hearing, voting on it at the 5:30 after the public hearing.
oh, March, yeah, we're in March.
March,
now.
we're in March. I did the same thing earlier today. Yeah.
I'm
Yes,
still celebrating Christmas. I think. Yes.
okay.
That's for any street, if I understand this, the speed limit is 25 miles an hour.
The way the law is, chief will designate those streets, but it's any street, 25 mile an hour or less.
Isn't that what, like Matthews Avenue is it 25?
Yeah, but I will not authorize that
I say,
one.
that's a lot of hills.
And the reason why is cause of safety, all them blind hilltops, I go ahead and tell you straight up, I won't approve that.
I just got a lot of concern with safety on that.
That's why we stuck one line in the law that chief of police would designate which streets will be approved. And Public Works already getting some golf course signs ordered. And as we roll them out, we will put signs up that will designate them as golf course.
These are street legal carts too. You can't just pull off a golf course
Right.
cart and drive around.
There's certain things in the law, if you read it, that the golf course got to have on. And that's what we will look at when we inspect and make sure that they got everything that the law said they're supposed to have.
That hefty feeling.
Any additional questions for Director Ward on the actual ordinance? But this is, just keep in mind that this is actually just setting the public hearing for the next meeting, if that's what your wish is.
Let me also say, we were talking about Matthews Avenue. This only applies to your streets. This only applies to municipal streets. The county and the state
That-
roads
Yeah.
are not.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're not gonna have 231.
Right,
No matter what the
right.
speed limit is, but it's for your municipal owned streets, which are most all of your all of your subdivision streets, and
Yeah.
some of your larger streets.
One question I have, Madam President,
Yes.
is how we will go about advertising this for the public hearing. I think something of this nature should be placed in the local newspaper as well as on the website, in addition, because it affects all the citizens.
Doesn't everything is a public hearing for the citizens?
I don't think it all goes in. I just want to ensure that this one goes in this other stuff. I've heard some things that we've done and it hadn't been placed in this other stuff. And so, I've just heard some talk in the community about it. So I just want to emphasize that.
That it's your wish that it goes in the southern star?
Right. In addition to the website or digital medium of exchange.
Okay. Mayor, how does that even work? Because our actual publication method is now,
It's what the common,
is online.
I mean, something like that, we would normally just run online.
Yeah,
That's what I was getting at.
yes. So, the reason also is how many people actually still read the newspaper.
A lot of your senior citizens.
Right, but also, how many of the senior citizens, you still have to have your license and all of that kind of stuff to be able to do that. That's also part of the ordinance. Or talking about the ordinance
I'm
that
just
you're going
talking
to be able
about
to.
advertising the public hearing
of just advertising a public hearing for it?
Right.
That's all he's saying.
Right, because see, if they don't know about it, they will not be coming. You see what I'm saying? You gotta make your general public aware of it. That's what I'm getting at.
Okay, I understand. I understand. Thank you. All right, item number, are there any other questions or comments?
I have a comment.
We'll entertain comments from the audience at a later time, but I want you, but there'll be a time where I say comments or questions regarding agenda items, and then you can make a comment on that. Okay? All right, item number 9 is approval of the Magnolia Gardens on East, the rental and use agreements. Ryan, would you like to speak on that?
It's pretty straightforward. Just try to set some boundaries to protect the city, of course, and set rates that were, I thought that was affordable. I kind of shopped around to other municipalities, so I didn't just make the rates on my own. So, have any questions about the?
Council members, do you have any questions for Ryan on setting on the
I really
facility rental
don't, it's like
agreement?
it covered it.
No, we tried to, and we have a lot of people that are wanting to rent it,
Yeah.
and so I tried to, make it, as ironclad as possible to kind of be able to do that, so.
It really looks good over there, too.
It does,
I appreciate it.
so,
Really.
yes,
I appreciate it.
kudos
Really.
to all of the work that has been done on it.
Yeah.
It really has improved.
I actually sent a message inquiring about a wedding, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'll let you know tomorrow.
If you have your wedding day, you go across the street, they'll have your reception.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right, item number 10 is to approve the mayor to execute a lease agreement with Bell Textron Incorporated. Mayor, would you like to speak on that?
Yes, let me go back and tell you a little history on that. This was the same lease, basically, that Bell had years ago, and it had an automatic renewal in it that, y'all remember, we challenged it when they packed up and left. So we're working with another company that we're trying to bring here in the building that they own, that they were negotiating to sell. So we put this agreement together, and in the final paragraph of this agreement, it's contingent upon the sale of that property to RMCI. We feel very comfortable about that. Joe and Holly and I have been meeting with them like every 2 weeks for months, and trying to get all these things worked out. And so we're asking y'all to sign that tonight, understanding, or authorize me to sign it tonight with understanding that if this other falls through, this will also. But we're just trying to get this part of it done, and hopefully in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll get the sale completed, which both of them are going to wind up being good projects.
Thank you. Council members, do you have any additional questions for Mayor Blankenship on the execution of that agreement, or questions about the agreement itself?
No,
All right, item number 11 is to approve a purchase contract for properties involved with Project Evergreen. Mayor, would you like to speak on that?
Sure, this is the purchase agreements that y'all authorized me to sign on the 18th. We signed them on the 19th, but Joe says we had to have it back on here to actually spend the money. So that's what we're doing tonight, is moving forward with that.
Correct. So, council members, do you have any comments or questions on the approvals of those contracts to purchase the property?
We won't agree on
One question I have is,
Yes.
this will involve both properties, or encompass both properties, am I right?
2 different contracts, yeah.
Right. In regards to the smaller tract of land out there, that I think Patsy Dunn's property.
Right.
Okay. Have we taken the time to get some kind of test, soil test or anything regarding that property? Reason why I ask is, over the years, going back many years ago, that property was a junkyard, many recall. And there was a lot of vehicles on there. Matter of fact, the city was trying to get the owner of the property to clean it up and basically hide all those junk vehicles that were out there. Since then, they cleaned it up and it became Blackman's Body Shop, which Blackman never had as many vehicles out there as the previous junkyard did. But I'm of the opinion that we need soil tests because we would hate to get involved in the churches and on the property, find out at a later date that we can't build on it or do anything with it. If ADM, Alabama Department of Environmental Management, comes in and tell us we have to clean it up, you follow what I'm saying? And you wouldn't want the kids out there because the intent is to build a sports complex. And everyone knows I have advocated for a sports complex many, many years. So I'm all in favor of the sports complex, don't get me wrong. But you don't want kids playing in soil that's contaminated.
Just because a few vehicles been stored on it is not contaminated.
Well, I think we'd be safe to get that soil test.
Well, but also, remember that tract of land would just be the highway access. That's the parking lot, that's not a major tract of land.
It's land that you can't.
It's the small part that needs up. That's the small.
I think it's 11 point some odd acres.
10.26.
Right.
I don't know. I mean,
Would that be just like parking, that's gonna be for the parking?
Well, I mean, that's part of where we're going to build some retail. And there's some water on that we're gonna have to cross, but we know that going into it.
I'm making concern about the contamination, though.
I'm okay with
I don't know if that would prohibit us from building something at a later date or not.
All right, any other questions or comments, council members? Okay. All right, that is item number 11. So with that, I will go out into the audience. Are there any department heads in attendance that have any comments or questions regarding any of the agenda items this evening? Is there anyone in attendance that has any comments or questions on any of the agenda items this evening? Yes, if you'd like to come up and state your name for us, you can come on up.
Oh, well,
Yes.
it's just a simple question about the golf carts.
Yes.
Are they publicly owned or privately owned?
These would be privately owned. This would be an ordinance where if you do own a street legal golf cart that has been approved, and it's all in the ordinance, that you would be able to drive it within a residential neighborhood that is okayed by the city. And most of those, as Director Ward stated, are all of your residential neighborhoods that are normally 25 miles an hour or less, just in the neighborhood. We're not talking about state roads or anything like that, but we're talking about if you personally owned a golf cart, you could drive it on the street.
So I can't drive it on Will Logan?
Correct, because that would be 45.
Good.
Correct.
Means nobody else can.
Well, exactly, and that would be part of so that everyone understood when and where you could drive them, and what kind of golf carts you could drive, and all of that kind of stuff.
I believe Will Logan is a county road anyway.
I think so.
Yes.
But-
Any
Attention from the county.
Any other questions regarding any of the agenda items? Yes,
This
sir.
may be a silly question. Is anybody ever looked into impacts to liability insurance for, drivers when these golf carts are put into the city? I mean, is this even a reasonable question? I worry about, the fact that there's golf carts here, does that change any of the liability?
Well, it would be the same as if you were in any kind of vehicle accident.
That to carry it.
And you yourself as a golf cart owner would have to carry the insurance on your golf carts.
Well, I guess, let me rephrase the question. The fact that there are golf carts here, which is sort of an unusual situation, does that impact the liability rates for other drivers? I mean, I don't know that there's an answer to that. I was just curious.
Director Ward, would you like to speak on that?
That will, suppose what the liability is up to the insurance companies. But the way we look at it, it's just like anything else. You hitting a bicycle going down the road, it's pretty much the same premise. I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, I may just call some insurance companies and see. It may be a silly question.
Yeah, as far as the rates, you're talking about your insurance going up because of it?
Right,
That's told up to the insurance companies. We don't have any. I mean, that's a good question, but that's up to the insurance company.
Okay.
Yes, Attorney Adams.
Most of the insurance companies will require the vehicle owner to have a bump in the premium, or an increase in the premium. Now, that doesn't answer your question, but anybody that drives a golf cart, they would probably experience an increase for the privilege of driving a golf cart or low-speed vehicle.
Correct. Any other questions regarding agenda items? Yes, sir.
My name is Brian. I'm not going to take a jab at anybody in this room, but being one of the youngest, I believe, in this room, about what Mr. Winston was saying about that place where Platinum Body Shop is. Not to support him or not to go against him, but I think some stuff could be done, as in, because I can say I'm part of the young generation, and that would be something nice to have where people can check into the stuff before it is acquired through the city. That was one of the things, and the other thing was about, we do get a lot of people that read the newspaper. Believe it or not, I sometimes sit down and read.
Oh, I do as well. I do as well. Please don't think that.
No, and sometimes I think the media on the phone or social media can be a little too confusing, and get old plain black print ink, it's just as fine. So that was all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam President. Brian Faulkner, Jernigan Road, here in Ozark. The Honorable Joe Adams and I share a common rule of practice. He is a jurist, and I, as a former instrument flight examiner, would never ask a question to which we do not already know the answer. Government dealings with real property, public outreaches by statesmanship standards, first and certainly should be well early. Alabama State Bar on that website gives the reasons for an executive session. The opening statement by the bar, I'm quoting, "Under the Open Meetings Act, sunshine prevails. Executive sessions are to be the exception rather than the rule." I now move on to Alabama law, Code Title 36, Chapter 25A, Section 7. To discuss the considerations the governmental body is willing in considering the purchase, sale, and exchange of real property. Provided, however, that the material terms of any contract to purchase, exchange, or lease real property shall be disclosed in the public portion of a meeting prior to the execution of the contract. Madam President, after substantial research and counsel, the approval phase of the legal contract is part of the execution phase. Once approved, the contract is legally vulnerable to execution, and that execution will commence absent presentation of the material terms in public. Ma'am, this project Evergreen, how does the council assert to have followed the law here? Or how will you follow the law? Something doesn't add up here. The clandestine code name, Project Evergreen, typically used in the corporate world to evade competition. Here it seems to be cloaking something from the citizens. Honorable Council, have any of you walked that property? The permanence of bad swamp and remnants of a salvage yard, far more than a few vehicles, far more. I've been there. Levels of contamination will confine what you can put there, and there are multiple levels. Has there been a council-approved assay of that property for human occupation? Contamination by research says 8 to 10 times the purchase price is a standard. Has the council heard from the mayor on the original plan, complete with diagrams and pictures for a solar farm? It's certainly what he told the first landowner. And how would it fit far more better next to a 4-lane highway and potential uninhabitable land? Might want to check with Enterprise and their problems with their 4-lane highway. Those who do not recall history with regard to the possible not being fair here are doomed to repeat it. Circa 2016, then Dale County Commission Chairman attempted to lead the citizens of Dale County to accept a borehole drilled into Dale County, 16,000 feet over 3 miles, to test, said Mr. Blankenship, the potential storage of nuclear waste. I'll move on. How are you going to know whether you can put anything in there if you don't put something in there is how that action was defeated. Well, how do you know that a veritable swamp and likely to at least some degree contaminated ground, because you've done no assay, is suitable and safe for our citizens? This is attending to the people's business, Madam President, or you're buying a pig in a poke sack. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments or questions on any of the agenda items this evening?
I still have one, Madam President.
Yes.
On the agenda here, we have to approve purchase contract for properties involved with Project Evergreen.
Yes.
It appears that we're putting both pieces of property under this one contract.
No, there's two contracts. There's two contracts.
Yeah, I saw the two
So we just have to-
contracts. I was talking about.
It's most likely just a typo, but we can actually,
Yeah, I'd like to separate these to vote on, for voting purpose.
should wishing for two
Separate
contracts,
votes,
one.
not, because the way it is on the agenda is to approve both under one item. Can we separate those two items? Because they're two separate parcels, about two separate land owners. The question is only one parcel owned by one landowner is being considered for soil test in lieu of the contamination. You see what I'm saying?
Correct.
This does not apply to the other.
Correct. I guess my only concern is, wouldn't we need both tracts of land for the project?
Absolutely.
We need both tracts of land.
Understood that they could be two separate items, is what I'm saying, for voting purposes.
But then if you approve one and not approve the other, then why would we have voted to approve one, but then pigeonholed ourselves into owning one that we can't even access?
So would you hold up another because of contamination, portion, a possibility of contamination on one piece of property and not the other? That is the
Well,
question.
I guess that is the ultimate question, because if we actually own one of them and we can't access it, what use is it?
Well, let's look at it from a different, it's not such an urgency. You follow what I'm saying? I mean, we've been talking about a sports complex for many, many years. So, no, I've been talking about it longer than that. But that's what I'm saying, it's not of such an urgency that we have to, consider this as a joint venture. You follow what I'm saying?
You can't do the project without both pieces, the way we have it designed. And we've had professional people looking at that project. Nobody has made issue of contaminants because of all of
But I
that.
think for the benefit of this, using the citizens' money wisely, we can pause and just get the soil test, and let's be at ease,
Madam President, there's a thing with ADEM, Councilman Jackson had mentioned, ADEM and contamination, that even if it was, with the junk vehicles there, brownfield projects, that we could possibly even get money to pay for it, to be cleaned up if it was in fact such contamination.
I have one question. I'm sorry.
Yes,
Am I
sir.
still allowed to ask?
Yes, sir.
So the people who have looked at over this, are their names going to be released in the news media as well? Is there stuff backing up these people, that professional people who saw this? you know, is that gonna be available to the media, for everybody to see? So we
Well,
know
whenever,
who's people checking?
whenever a project goes public, goes on public record, all of the actual project paperwork is become public record.
Is that before or after it's purchased?
Whenever, if we were to approve this, then yes.
So that it's after.
Yes.
Also, one more thing, Madam President, I'd like to point out is that using the code name, and Holly, our Economic Development Director, can attest to this, it's commonplace to give projects of large scale code names so that when you're negotiating,
Correct. Even small project names, if we're trying to bring in a business, even if it's smaller, we usually do
it's
use.
not
it.
subversive at all.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Winnie Frazier, I just want to state, and I'm sure the mayor and the council probably has already done this, but I think that the council, it would behoove them to do their due diligence and checking out every aspect. I can recall several years ago, and I don't even think any of you all were on the council, when the city owned the racetrack property. And they were going to do a complex there, and they would do a lot, but it was found out they couldn't even use that project for that because of the soil that was there. So I just think it would be in the best interest of the citizens that if everything was investigated fairly before the city made a decision to purchase this property. Now, I am for, by all means, a complex, especially out of 231. I think it would be great, but at the same time, we got to be mindful about the citizens to make sure that everything is going to be in order before we make a major purchase.
Madam President, less than 10 seconds, I have a little bit of time left.
Yes.
The issue is not the project name, I don't have any issue with that. I think it's a great project. I'm just wanting the law, and we, the people that I represent, want the law to be followed. And it's quite clear here, the material terms of any contract shall be disclosed in the public portion of a meeting. The material terms, not just the name, not just where you're going to put it, material terms. It's the law, number 6 of 9 reasons.
Oh, okay. So the purchase contract terms that would be approved in this meeting, is that what you're regarding?
The material terms of the contract, yes, ma'am. What are you paying for it? Who did it come from? What are the processes?
Understand, okay.
Okay, so there is going to be a future public hearing?
Yes. No.
Thank you. There's not?
No, we don't have to set a public hearing for this purchase, correct?
Is this not real property?
It just says that the terms of it have to actually go into the public
Be
session.
viewed by the public.
To be,
It's not.
So the money needs to be spent first in order for everybody to see it.
Shall be disclosed in the public portion of the meeting.
and this is the public
And
portion
that's
of
what
the
they're
meeting.
doing.
What material terms have you disclosed?
We're going to,
They're
we're
going to.
ready to vote.
Yes,
You are?
yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay, we'll wait
Oh,
and see.
so would you, no, are you saying so the actual purchase price and all of that, is that what you're?
Well, if you're gonna discuss the terms later, that's not the public portion of your meeting. There should have been a hearing. This is what the law says. I'm not making this up. I'm just saying that the people deserve an opportunity to speak. And the second portion is not the public portion of this meeting.
Oh, so the terms that we're asking, there are 2 tracts of land.
Yes, ma'am?
Purchase price on one, $275,000. That is the larger, major majority.
Madam President, please, I'm not going to satisfy me. I'm wanting to know why there's not been a public disclosed portion in a meeting where citizens would be present to understand it. Signing this contract, you're in the execution phase, and the law says it has to be done prior. If you want to go against it, I'm fine, ma'am. I'm just letting you know that's not what the law says.
We have been following what our attorney has been.
Just because the attorney says it doesn't mean he's conversant in what that says, and I just read it to you.
Okay.
But
The second part, when you have your council meeting, is public. That is when you tend to business. And that's the business that you have to tend to. You have the contract before you. I've already told Caitlin that as soon as y'all approve it or disapprove it, it's public record.
Thank you, Madam President.
Yeah.
thank you. So council members, would you?
How is it,
Yes.
has it been published? Has it been published?
It doesn't
Yeah.
know, because there's not a public hearing on it. That's not, what our agenda, when it goes public, or when our agenda here, well, it went public, so that you could see what we were voting on today. And then, after we vote or not, or vote down, then the public will be able to see or hear the terms that we agree to or disagree to, which is what we are discussing in this meeting.
And that will all be disclosed before any vote?
No, because we would vote in the next meeting on it. So that's what I was saying, I could give your prices and your exact, it is parcel 00.0, I can do all of that. And this is not unusual, so whenever we get rid of property or sell or buy any sort of disclosing property, we say we're just getting rid of property. We don't give the actual VIN numbers out to the public, we just say, hey, we're getting rid of a fire truck. We're buying a piece of land. It's not anything where we're trying to be maliciously secretive about it. It is just, everything is not in detail out there right this second, because that's why you voted for us to be in these positions, so that you trust our judgment on looking at the details of it and seeing if it's in the best interest of the city, and debating on it like we're doing right now. But no, every single item is not out there for public consumption. What I mean by every single VIN number of everything that we have and everything that we buy and everything that we sell before we vote on it, if that makes sense.
Madam President, the concept here that allows you to go into executive session is to negotiate for the purchase of real property. And the theory of that is that if it was public disclosed while you were discussing it, somebody might come and outbid you. That's the whole concept, is that you have the privilege of consideration in a private executive session. Once those terms come about, it does become public, and that's what you're doing tonight. There is some concept that your second half of your meeting is not public. It certainly is. It is your regular meeting. This is your administrative session. But the whole theory of the acquisition of real property is that you don't have to compete. You don't have somebody come into a public hearing while you're negotiating and go out and buy the land out from under you. I mean, the theory is you have made, through your mayor, you have made exhaustive studies of whether this is an appropriate purchase. And that's why you don't want to be outbid. That's why you have the privilege of secrecy until you sign the disclosure, and at that point, it is public record. And, as I said, I told Caitlin she can get a copy if you approve it. Actually, she can get a copy if you don't approve it. But it's
Correct, even if we voted down, yes. So, yes.
And going back to the environmental, the biggest problem with the phase one disclosure is for underground tanks that have started seeping through the years. If you went out and tried to buy a piece of property where it was a gas station,
correct,
so to speak, or an old country store that had gas tanks, yeah, you'd be real suspicious. Now, in this particular case, you had a lot of junk cars, so I don't know Other than, I will tell you this, I went out there when we were having the hearings on the cleanup thing, and the building inspector and I were looking in one of the cars, only to find about a 6-foot rattlesnake in the car. So that's why we got rid of those things. But they were not selling gasoline. And I don't think Blackman's is selling gasoline. I think they buy their gasoline from regular stores. The fear is underground storage tanks.
Thank you. Council members, do you have any additional questions or comments? Is there anyone else in attendance that has any additional questions or comments on any of the agenda items? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I concur with Attorney Adams. We need to be mindful that we are making the appropriate purchase on the property. And the way you alluded to all those cars, yeah, there were many vehicles out there. Now, I would almost be safe in saying that if it's a junkyard and all those vehicles sit out there for as many years as they did, where they leaked oil, they leaked gas, that type of thing. My only unreadiness is on that small parcel. I'm fine with the other. I know we want to call it one project, but it's for voting purposes. I think we need to at least pause for a moment on that one small parcel, and let's just ensure ourselves for the benefit of the citizens. It's not for us, because we're not using our money. This is the citizens' money. And I just want to be sure that the soil has been tested, and we were ready. It's a go for the property. I'm all in favor of that. But we don't want to get off having voted on something and then find out at a later date that now we've got to backtrack and clean up. You see what I'm saying?
I do see where you're saying. Here's my, and this is, we can split it. If the council wishes to split it, we're fine with that. Here's my concern is that you are getting up on a soapbox when you've had 2 weeks to disclose all of this.
Well, I wasn't sure that
And you were also in the meeting when we talked
people
about
that,
all of this.
ma'am,
But you were also in the meeting when we discussed the tracks of land to begin with.
yeah, it hadn't dawned on me about this at that point.
But it didn't dawn on you till like right now at 5 o'clock.
No, I was of the opinion that maybe the mayor would come in here and let us know that the soil test had been done.
We didn't discuss a soil test before.
Whether it was free of any encumbrances for that matter. That being one of them.
So what's the promise to the people today?
Okay. Thank you. Do we have any other comments or questions?
I'm sorry. So what's the promise to the people, like, what y'all are up there for us, for the citizens today? I'm pretty sure a lot of the people today that are up there in here, like I said again, not taking a jab, but a lot of y'all's kids are grown. I'm at the age where if I want to start a family, do want to have a kid one day, there's going to be kids under me playing there. And that's what I'm really thinking about. is
That
Yes.
10
Right.
acres not gonna have anything to do with the ball complex.
Right, that's what we were saying, is that it's a different part of, that's not where the kids will be playing, that is
At all.
a, like, parking lot designated
Right.
area and stuff like that.
Retail complex.
But if the council wishes to split it into 2 tracks and spend the money for an environmental and all of that kind of stuff, because we know that that is going to be extra funds that have to be spent. Now, it is Attorney Adams, do you have any idea about how much an environmental
Yes.
study would be on those 10 acres of land?
I do not. Phase one is not, phase two is very expensive. Phase one is, phase two is a cleanup. And if phase one discloses anything, phase one is boring a few holes, and the only ones that I know around here that actually do phase one is Poly. Is that Poly Engineering?
Okay, do you
I
have any
think
idea
the thing that y'all
about?
need to remember, there's more oil running off the Walmart parking lot every time it rains than would have ever been out there in that area. Junk cars being on the property is not releasing that much oil, if any. I mean, we're about to kill a major project that we've worked on for 4 years just because we want to showboat. That's all it boils down to.
That is part of my concern. But also, I understand not wanting to forge forward, but I'm also concerned about the timeline. If we move forward with how much an environmental is, what is the timeline on it, and then it gets back to us, and we have to vote again, and then we're not even able to move forward, and we have 6 months left in our term. And then we're gonna leave the bag with the next council. That's it, all of that. But also, all of this could have been brought up 2 weeks ago.
But also, you know, in the world of what ifs, Madam President, in the world of what ifs, if we bought it and there's an environmental problem, ADEM comes in and cleans it up. That's not Ozark citizens' money.
You have to pay.
You gotta.
That's state Oh, excuse me.
Madam
I thought that was, they gave Brownsfield grants for that.
Hi there, I'm Charles Vendiziano. The environmental thing could be a part of the negotiating cost of that piece of property, too. Just throwing that out there. If it looks like that could be part of it, you could say, okay, if it's this, then we're only going to pay this because it's going to cost us this to clean it up. I'm just throwing that out there.
It's been signed.
You know, it could be negotiated that way in the sale of that piece of property. And if it's not contaminated, then, you know, you're free to go. But that would be a negotiating of the sale of that piece of property for that cost.
The one thing that we discussed before, and y'all need to remember, if we don't build a sports complex, there's not a finer piece of property in Ozark to build a housing development than that on the upper end of that. So it's not like the city's going, you know, for what we're paying for that land, it is a good deal.
Yeah, you said you were looking at this 4 years ago?
Yes.
Well, about maybe 6 or 7 months ago, we were looking at putting a complex over here by Eagle Stadium.
That's right, and let me explain that. We were trying to tie the Dunn property into the Housing Authority property. And we couldn't buy the piece of property between it. That's what we were trying to do. We were trying to not have to buy the 66-acre parcel out there to go to North Park Road. We were trying to tie it into one that was free. Couldn't make it happen because it wouldn't sell the 25 or 30 acre parcel that's between the Dunn property and that property.
And what bearing did that have on the Saudi trailer park?
He's talking about some.
It doesn't have any, we got to the point we couldn't get that out there to work, so we started looking at this over here.
And that was never brought to me. That we were looking at the Saudi project first, and then later on, we started looking at the 231 project. As far as what?
That is because
What I know.
the 66-acre parcel became available.
We've been talking about trying to get the housing authority land. You've been in a lot of these meetings with us where we've been talking about the 4 years. trying to
But
get
the housing authority land is well below south of what we're dealing with now.
Correct.
Right.
Because this is just what became available.
But there's one tract of land that would tie them together.
Right. And Laurel Park. I understand.
All right, so Are there any other comments or questions from anyone in the audience regarding any of the agenda items this evening? Are there any comments or questions from anyone in the audience on any subject in particular? Yes, ma'am, if you'd like to come up and state your name for us.
My name is Janet Shinnery. I live at 163 Blackman Street. It's 2 blocks off Campground. It's only 6 families out there, but I think we've been forgotten about by the city. I've been trying to get my little road, it's only 2 blocks long, maintained for 3 years now. They paved half of Bartow and all of Barton, and said, we'll be back in September, we'll fix your road. Let me get my purse. I'm sorry, I didn't go get pictures developed at Walmart because I'm really upset about this and might not have made it on time.
That's fine.
But I don't think that the city has been down to cut the grass on my street in about 16 months. I have not had bulk pickup in front of my house where Mr. Campbell has told me to put it in 5 weeks. I don't get a break on my garbage bill if they don't come, do I? No? But anyway.
When you say bulk pickup, do you mean just the larger items and things like that? Okay.
Limbs.
Yeah.
Okay.
That kind of stuff. Okay. Start here. Okay.
Well, I will say, in the in-between, we can all look at the pictures. That's not a problem.
All right.
So you're just asking for us
Why?
to...
What is the holdup? I pay my taxes, I pay my garbage bill by the year. I have asked several times. I don't need anybody from the engineer's office to call and remind me that I live on a dirt road. I've been here 30 years. I know it's a dirt road. Okay? I know. Mr. Campbell told me that my road would never be paved because they're not going to pave the pig trail they inherited from the county. I was annexed into the city in '96. Nobody asked me, they just annexed me. But when I was with the county, I did have maintenance. 3 years, they came and graded my road once a year. It has not been graded from beginning to end since '95. What do I have to do?
Okay.
I mean, what do I have to do? Every time I get them to come fix it so I can get in and out of my driveway without losing the bottom of my car, I have to go up there and pitch a fit. Why can't I have regular maintenance?
To that, we would refer you to Mr. Campbell, because
Well,
that
Mr.
is...
Campbell has been out to my house. He promised he would come fix the road so that you could tell where the road was. I'm still waiting, Mr. Campbell. I'm still waiting.
I never recall telling you that I would never pave your road. I don't remember having a conversation about your trash pile either, placement. I mean, I talked to a lot of people, but I
That's right.
think
You came out
I
to
would
my
remember
house.
that, but
You came out to my house
I
because
have, if you live at the very end, I remember coming, I think one time, dealing with your neighbor years ago, running through your yard.
And it's still
Okay.
going on, and you
Okay.
told me you weren't the man that said where the property lines went.
I don't,
I haven't
see,
very
I don't,
good, sir,
you know.
and I can carry.
All I can tell you is I'll look at seeing about maybe coming over there and grading your road. I will do that. And Bartow and Barton were already pre-paved streets, so we just resurfaced those streets. I mean, you just can't throw asphalt over a dirt road without a lot of preparation, cost, and those type of items.
I'm
But
not asking you to
we can
maintain
look
the road. I'm
at,
just asking for it to be maintained.
Okay.
Okay, we got it, y'all heard him say it, he was gonna come look at maintaining my road. Will it be this year?
Yes,
Will it be in the next 6 months?
I will try to be there.
All right, and you also said we could put up signs saying that, not to drive in, on the edge of my property. I don't care what you put on the sign. Put up a sign that says, "Stop so this woman will leave me alone."
Yeah.
Okay,
No, well,
so now
That's gonna be a
why don't-
police
yeah,
deal.
Can you
Yeah.
can you and Ryan get together on that? You're up here and he's up here, and y'all can have a conversation about
Well,
that.
just, I understand your point, but please understand mine.
I
This
do.
has been going on since 2019, that I've been waiting for somebody to come fix my road. 2019, that's a long time.
Thank you, Commissioner Berry. 163, 11. Great. All right, is there anyone else in attendance that has any comments or questions on any subject in particular? Yes.
I just have a question. Is there any kind of
If you actually come up and state your name for us.
Ryan, again, is there any kind of like papers that state, I recall, what was it, last year, 2 years ago, taxes were raised due to the purpose of fixing roads, or paving, repaving roads? Is there
So,
any kind of paper
yes.
that we can see
So-
what roads have been repaved
Yes,
after that?
there's
tax
a,
increase?
there's a public report, and there's actually a future report where every road in the city is actually listed, when it last got done, when it's next on the list and all of that, because that is all part of that.
Yeah, you
5
can
cent
come to my
increase.
office with
Yes,
that.
it is absolutely.
That's just because,
Yes,
and that's just
it
me
is.
wondering, because
Yes,
I don't know
it
if that
is.
was something that existed, and stuff like that.
Yes, you're able to see exactly what has been done every year and what is able to be bid out. Because we could have stuff where we're planning on doing it, but then the cost of asphalt rises and we're able to do 50% of what we planned and stuff like that. So yeah, yes, all of that is publicly available. Are there any other comments or questions from anyone in attendance? So with that, I will go to final comments. Mayor?
On the Holman House, Public Works has been working in the backyard. We've run quite a bit of wiring, to the back fence, wall back there for our upcoming event, to where when we put the tent up, and we are working on getting that purchase order out on the tent to get it purchased. We're also putting new lighting and ceiling tiles in the basement. And Ryan, I did reach out to a company today about getting us a quote on a commercial dehumidifier, because we're still having some mold and mildew smell in that basement that we need to get cleared up. So they're gonna work on that with us. On our tennis court project, we had a meeting on that this morning with the ADECA folks, and all that seems to be going well. But one thing did get brought to our attention that I thought was over and done with, and y'all are welcome to look at these pictures. This is the walking trail project that is across the street from the tennis courts. And this project was funded years and years ago with the same kind of money that the tennis courts is being funded with. So the lady on the phone asked us what the condition was, and we said, well, we closed that years ago. And they said, well, we've got to readdress that issue. There's things we got to do, but we'll get back at a later date. I said, well, I will go out and inspect it, and I'll get back with you on it. Well, it's in terrible shape. You're welcome to look at this large tree through the roof. It's the amphitheater's completely gone. The seating is gone, really grown up. So I reached out to Mayor Blackwell today to ask him, was there any paperwork done when we closed it to satisfy the feds? He said not to his knowledge. So I'm just letting you know that that may be something that we have to address in some manner. But there's also a pretty good sized sinkhole down there where you're walking into the facility, it's fell in, and pretty bad. But anyway, we're going to send these pictures to them tomorrow and see what kind of feedback we get from that. So getting back to the Project Evergreen, assuming y'all approve this, we're going to have an announcement out there on site. We actually have a trailer with some bleachers to where we can get people out to the center of it, because that's really where we want people to be able to see it. That showcases the land the best. And we at one time was hoping to close this on Thursday if y'all approve it, but that may get pushed back. But we have also already done some things up front. We've had somebody come out and look at there's some asbestos on the old house that's got to come down. So So we've got an abatement price on that. And I'm also meeting with the architectural firm tomorrow to start just kind of laying out what direction we need to go with doing things, assuming y'all approve it. If you have not seen it, the Dollar General north of town, they have spent some kind of money landscaping that. It's amazing. It's the first one I've ever seen that's landscaped like that. We're still working on the E-Core project where we're trying to sell a little piece of land. We're working with them at Reading Times to try to do that. Crow's Chicken is scheduled to open on the 7th. The Tech Center roof is supposed to start one day this week. You have a little short letter there that we sent to a gentleman that is actually, he grew up in Ozark, Mr. Jones, that had complained about the death of a young man by gunshot wound in Barber County, and we just sent a letter out on y'all's behalf, just telling them, you know, how sorry we were for what he's dealing with. And let's see, I believe that was all I had. And I want to comment in reference to Mr. Fontenot's borehole comment. That borehole project was the largest research and development company in the world, Mateo, I believe was their name, working in conjunction with Alabama Power and Auburn University. And both of our school systems had signed on letters of support with that. It was a great research and development project, and there was never anything, we had letters and documentation that said it was not a nuclear waste deposit site. I spent 20 years in the nuclear waste business world. I know they're not going to put nuclear waste in a hole in Newton, Alabama. Okay, that's just not the way it works. But anyway,
Mr. Denbeck will assert that the school did not approve that, and he knows it.
Thank you, sir.
That's all.
Thank you. Councilman Enfinger?
I don't think
Councilman Jackson?
Mayor, you mentioned asbestos on the house. Is that on the Peters property?
Yes, it's asbestos siding, just like we have to take off of several houses when we demo here today.
We hadn't cleaned it up yet.
No, we just got a price.
Councilman Pearl? Oh, was that your final?
Well, I mean, I'm just learning about the asbestos, but basically it puts us at a point where about cleaning up one property, and the question is, will we need to clean up the second?
we're not cleaned it up yet, he could just get.
Oh, well, I know, that's what I'm saying. We're getting ready to clean up one piece of property, and we're not sure if the other one needs to be cleaned up. I guess that's where we're at.
Councilman Pearl? Councilwoman Harlow?
No, thank you.
All right. No announcements. I just want to congratulate everyone in Ozark City Schools for their completion of the Funny Girl show, and congratulations to Miss Margie Benson. She chose, this was her final show under the Ozark City Schools and Dale County heading. So, all right. With that, I will close this meeting and go into the next, I will call the next meeting in 3 minutes. All right, I call this meeting of the City Council of Ozark to order. We will open with a prayer led by Councilman Peralta and the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mayor Blankenship.
Yes, Lord, we thank you for this day you made for us, Lord. We just ask you be with us as we do the work for the city, Lord, and also bless each and every one of our citizens and their families. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Our first order of business this evening is to approve the minutes from the regular council meeting that was held on February 18th, 2025. What are the wishes of the council?
Madam President, I move to approve minutes from the regular council meeting held February 18th,
Thank you.
2025. Move for approval.
Thank you so much. I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any further discussion on approving these minutes? All in favor of passing the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item number 4 is to set the agenda for this evening. What are the wishes of the council?
Madam President, I move that we set the agenda as presented.
Thank you. I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Oops, sorry, I messed up my notes. There we go. Do we have any further discussion on setting the agenda as presented?
No.
All in favor of setting the agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item number 5 is to set the voting delegates and alternates for the annual meeting of the Alabama League of Municipalities. What are the wishes of the council?
Madam President, I move that we set the voting delegates and alternatives for the annual meeting of the Alabama League of Municipalities to be held May 13th to 16th of 2025 as Council Member President Simachek, Council Member Jackson, and Council Member Pearl.
Thank you. I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any further discussion on setting these voting delegates for the meetings? Thank you. All in favor of passing the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item number 6 is to award the bid for the Eagle Stadium hitting facility improvement. What are the wishes of the council?
Madam President, I move to approve the award the bid to Elite Building Group LLC for the cost of $74,608 for the upgrade of the batting cages.
Thank you. I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any further discussion on awarding this bid? All in favor of passing the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item number 7 is a first reading application, retail beer and 070 retail wine off premises only. What are the wishes of the council?
Madam President, I move that we approve the first reading application 050 retail beer off premise only and 070 retail table wine off premise only for the Dollar General applicant Dodge Inn Corporation LLC.
Thank you. I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any further discussion on accepting this first reading application? All in favor of passing the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item number 8 is to set a public hearing for an ordinance permitting and regulating low-speed vehicles. What are the wishes of the council?
Madam President, I move that we set a public hearing for ordinance permitting and regulating low-speed vehicles for Tuesday, March the 18th, 2025. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah, I said
At 5 p.m. March 18th, yes.
18th, yes.
5 p.m. Is that? Thank you. I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any further discussion on setting this public hearing? All in favor of passing the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item number 9 is the approval of Magnolia Gardens on East rental and use agreement. What are the wishes of the council?
Madam President, I move for approval of the Magnolia Gardens on East rental and use agreement. Move for its approval.
Thank you. I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any further discussion on this rental and use agreement? All in favor of passing the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item number 10 is to approve the mayor to execute a lease agreement with Bell Textron Incorporated. What are the wishes of the council?
Madam President, I move that we approve the mayor executing a lease agreement with Bell Textron Incorporated.
Thank you. I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any further discussion on this approval or this lease agreement? All in favor of passing the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 11 is to approve the purchase contract for the properties, the 2 properties involved with the project Evergreen. What are the wishes of the council?
Madam President, I move we approve the purchase contract for properties involved in the Project Evergreen and move for their approval.
Thank you. I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any further discussion on approving these purchase contracts? Thank you. All in favor of passing the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Thank you. Motion passes. With that being the final business for this evening, yes, sir.
One thing, on the public hearing for the low speed, for the golf carts,
Yes.
I think we need to make it clear that ordinance was introduced tonight. Not to be acted upon, but was introduced. And then set for a hearing.
So you change the wording? I need to change the wording of my motion?
Yeah, just say that you move to introduce the proposed golf cart ordinance. And tender it for a public hearing.
Okay, so now I need to make a motion to amend my motion?
Yeah.
We have to clean that up first.
Yeah, because if you're introducing an ordinance, don't you have to suspend the rules? But then if you
No,
have a public
you're not
hearing
gonna vote
on
on it tonight.
Yeah.
You're just introducing it. You can vote on it at your next meeting.
Yeah.
After you have your public hearing.
it, right. So,
It just wasn't clear that it was actually introduced tonight.
so you would like her to say, I introduce an ordinance permitting and regulating and would like to set a public hearing.
There you go.
Gotcha. I understand.
Okay.
So with that, but it's already been approved.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's what, it's already been approved.
I need to make a motion to amend my amendment.
No, it hasn't been approved.
It has, because
We
we already voted on it. We voted on it 3 nights
I'm
ago.
down to item 11 now.
Yeah, we just finished
Just
all
allow
of it.
her to amend her motion.
No, wait a minute, wait. What are we talking about?
We're talking about,
We're about to adjourn.
we've already finished all of the items on, and we were about to adjourn. We were about to go to final.
Okay. You haven't, all I was saying is just introduce the ordinance about golf carts.
We already did that way back.
Well, we did it when we were talking about item number 8.
We're through now with the bottom.
We're at 11.
No, all this says is that you set the public hearing for it.
Understand that? We already approved the way it was said, so we got to redo it somehow.
We have to amend the agenda.
Well,
So we're just trying to-
what y'all said right at the end was fine.
Okay.
But with us already having
Cancel on
to,
the other one.
I have to amend my, and then re-vote on it, re-second it. and
You
re-vote.
vote on,
The amended one.
well, you don't vote, you vote on setting the public hearing, I mean, yes.
which we did.
Which we did.
That's what we did.
So just do another motion to
I
introduce.
introduced
Just
an
do a
ordinance.
motion to introduce that golf cart ordinance.
Okay. Madam President, I introduce, I forgot.
Okay.
I
Okay,
introduce
so
a
how about
motion.
this? Okay, can we, okay. My now memory is go with my Robert's rules. Hold on, let me think for a second. I already voted that in, so she can't rescind her motion.
Well,
He wants me to reword it.
But we can't, we've already approved
Just
that
write it down
motion.
over there. Like
So we
people should do.
can't,
just do another motion introducing ordinance number, this ordinance that was presented tonight. A
So we have
separate,
to amend the agenda.
well, you're talking about you
but we would
approved
have to
your
amend the agenda to do that.
Yeah, we've already passed that one.
Joe, you not, I don't think you were with us on this.
No.
So, okay, let's
Okay,
do
you
this.
can introduce it next week when you have your public hearing. You can do that, but to vote on it, you'd have to have unanimous consent to vote on it on the 18th. You can vote on it at the next meeting. You can have your public hearing on the 18th.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so
And then-
so are we okay with doing that, so we don't have to go back and do
Yes.
all of that? let's have the public hearing,
Yeah.
but then we just know we're not gonna vote on it until the very next meeting,
Right.
so that we don't have to go back and retract and amend and do all of that. Are we all okay with doing that?
Yeah, or you can
Or
suspend.
suspend the rules?
Right,
Okay.
there you go.
Okay,
Next time.
okay, so
All
then
right.
we are not, okay. So, all right, so Attorney Adams, can you do me, so whenever whenever we're gonna have to do that, can you double check all of the wording so that we aren't back in this, whenever we have to set a public hearing next time? Can you double check the wording so that we
I think you
do?
have to have,
Huh?
I think you have to have.
Okay. Well, but it would.
I mean, you can have a public hearing, you can have a public hearing on anything that you want to have.
Okay. Thank you.
I think it's required.
All right, so final comments, Mayor?
I just want to tell y'all one thing. Number one, thank y'all for approving this. I'm already sending out in the morning a piece of property because of this development, wanting to build more apartments on the north side of town. So these kind of things make a difference.
Thank you. Councilman in favor. Did I already do final comments? I feel like I already did. Okay, well, a lot of stuff has happened. Councilman in favor.
No. I
Councilman Jackson. Councilman Peralta.
If the only thing going on, about 7:15, Carroll boys soccer at the game against Baker Tech at Matthew Stadium.
Thank you. Councilwoman Harvey.
Tonight.
Oh, there's a storm coming in, no.
There it is. There it is.
No, I have no further comments.
Thank you. So with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion with adjourn.
Thank you. I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? Who said second? Okay, thank you. Any discussion about adjourning? All in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.